This is Optimus Primal and Skullcruncher. These are mainline Transformers Rise of the Beast toys from the Beast Alliance subline. This is my second time trying to review this. The first time I bought it, I noticed the head was missing. A quick look at the packaging. These two figures do combine to form whatever that is. And it's very interesting that these two figures combine, considering this one is a Maximal and this one is a Decepticon. The sides of the packaging just have Optimus Primal on them. Nothing special. And I guess this is considered a combiner of sorts. A look at the back showing off the figures. Optimus Primal looking not too great. Skullcruncher, and then the combined mode once again. All the ancient... There's a monkey face there. All the ancient... Oops. But as I was saying, all the ancient symbolism on here looks really cool. Now let's open it up and see if I regret the $22 I spent on this. I am so glad this one has a head this time. Let's put the tail on. So here are the two figures, and they are a bit disappointing. You'll see why. The articulation is bad. The transformation for Optimus Primal is also pretty bad. The gator just kind of feels like a plastic brick with moving parts. But anyways, let's start off with Optimus Primal first. The amount of detail on him is really good. Like, this figure is sculpted really well. There's quite a mixture of mechanical and gorilla parts on this figure, which is how it should be. It's just that there's a lot of things preventing this figure from being any great. And I know this line isn't really meant for collectors, but I'm still gonna be a bit critical about it. No mercy. The head sculpt is done fairly decently, and it looks like this face sculpt is based off the Beast Wars show and not the movie. I could be wrong though, there's just not a whole lot of pictures of him online. Some of the similarities do seem to be there though. I think the mouth is where it looks kind of weird, and that could be because of the severe lack of paint on here. His face is pretty much just entirely blue. Based off the show, he should have more silver on him and red eyes. The color of eyes also blend into the face. Further down to the neck, nothing much. The chest piece is done pretty well. You have the Maximal logo right over there. A bit of intricacies on this section and over here. I don't know how to explain it, but these little bits right over here, the anal beads, and all the mechanical parts of this part of the body are done really well. It might be a bit difficult to see, but the paintwork on here is done a bit sloppily. A closer look at the legs, you have the mechanical bits here and the fur bits over there. This section I think is sculpted really well. It seems like they put a lot of time and care into it. These pieces are blue and there's a little bit of paint spillage you can see, but like I said, the rest of it not too bad, and the feet are looking pretty sniffable. The arms are also sculpted really well. You have the gorilla bits over here, followed by more mechanical bits, and it looks like the mechanical and gorilla bits kind of blend over here. Further down, this all looks really nice, and you have more of the ape hair over there. Fingers are done pretty well. The thumb is kind of hidden away over there. Also, this figure has an insane amount of hollow bits. Like, I understand if they do it here and there, but this is just ridiculous. Now, if you look at the back, a lot of it looks very Chewbacca-like. It's done in a brown color, and you can see the texture for a lot of the ape hair on there, which I think is done pretty well. Further down to this area, more of that sculpt work. This is also done really well. A lot of the gorilla bits with a little bit of the robot parts. And then once again, a lot of hollowness over there. And these hollow bits aren't really for the transformation either. I mean, it does help with the articulation, which we'll get to later, but the transformation on this is basically just kind of one step. It says it's 6 steps, but kind of. First, I still want to talk more about the design of the figure. Now, I mentioned how I felt like the head sculpt was based off the Beast Wars cartoon earlier. I think this entire figure is basically a mixture of the movie version of Optimus Primal and the Beast Wars version, and you can really see it a lot throughout the figure, especially with the colors of the red and blue and this chest piece over there. I have this version of Optimus Primal, which I bought to review but just haven't done yet, and you can see a lot of the similarities between the two figures. Might as well just open it up. So as you can see, the head sculpts are pretty similar. They both have that circle area in the chest piece. Both are a mixture of mechanical and gorilla parts. Quick look at the back. This one has a lot more attention to detail in the ape hair, and a lot more of it on this one. This figure I feel like isn't completely cohesive in its color schemes. Like, you have the brown hair over here, but the rest of it is just all gray. And I don't really think it's worth painting this figure either. Now, onto articulation. There's barely any. So the head cannot move at all. These arms can spin 360, and they can move they're on a ball joint. You saw nothing. No rotation at the arms, no bend at the arms, no hand rotation, no waist rotation. These legs are also on a ball joint, so they can move out pretty far up. You can bring them out to the side, you can bring them back, and you do have a knee bend, which is pretty good. There's also foot movement back and forth, and that's it. That's all the articulation on this figure. And before we get to the transformation, let's get to Skullcruncher. So once again, a lot of the detail on here is done really well. Like, all the gator scales are done superbly, in my opinion. And the gator head looks pretty good too. But once again, this is also a mixture of the organic parts with the mechanical parts, and he appears to have more reinforced mechanical bits on him, which is pretty interesting. And the head on this is removable for the combined mode. The one I originally bought had the peg broken off and it was stuck in here. But if you want to see a close look at the teeth, he does have teeth. That is a thing he has. And I'm not sure if this is supposed to be some kind of like blaster weapon that's inside his mouth. He's got his spikes up here, and this would probably hurt to step on, so you don't want to leave it lying around. Some nice yellow eyes. I do like this mechanical mechanical bit up at the front. This kind of ruins the whole Gator aesthetic for me, but it is necessary for that combine mode, which I'll show later. A quick look at the other side. This part's not obscured by that thing over there, so it does look more cohesive, but the mismatched colors here is kind of weird. The sculpt of the tail is done really nice. He's got that gold tip over there, and this does come out to become some kind of brutal melee weapon in the combine mode for Optimus Primal. Now, the articulation for this guy is fairly basic. The crocodile mouth can open and close. It can also turn only to the left. Derek Zoolander would be jealous.
Can't turn left.
All these arms are on a ball joint, so they can move a full 360 and they can move out, except for the ones on these side, because it is obstructed by these bits over here, so it's kind of hard to move them around, so that does limit the rotation a bit. Now, this guy doesn't have a transformation or anything, he's just as is. Now for Optimus Primal's transformation, all you need to really do is open this part up, rotate it around, and put it in. And that's it. That's really it. Like, all the extra steps the instructions say is to make it more monkey. So all you really need to do is bring these out and position the feet. And that's basically all you have to do, and that is kind of disappointing. And you can still see the blue of the back head appearing there. Now, the sculpt for the gorilla mode is done really well in my opinion. It feels like there's a lot more paint to this section, but not really. It's just the silver parts over here and the blue eyes, but all the details on the face are done really well. He's got his giant nostrils like a gorilla should have. You have his mouth over there, and just to look all over, I think it's done really well. And then a look at the chest piece, it does seem a bit kind of like he's wearing armor over the gorilla parts. It is done pretty decently. Once again, not a whole lot of color to it. The chest piece and abdomen are painted. Now for the combine mode, which is pretty easy to do. First, we need to transform him back into his Optimus Primal mode, otherwise this won't fit on. Next, we need to rotate all the legs to where they're facing upwards. Next, these two pegs plug into these two holes, and we just stick that in there. Make sure it's secure in place. Now we can take this out and move this out of the way, and hold this down while you're bringing this down, otherwise this will just keep popping off. It is very annoying to do. Me, a grown man, had trouble with this. So now what we can do is take out this tail, go ahead and place it in his hand. We can take this mouthpiece off, and the instructions say to just put it over here. And yeah, it looks ugly. I think it would be cooler if this was at Alligator Prime instead of Skullcruncher. And you know what this reminds me of? This feels like a battleizer for a Power Ranger, except not as cool looking. But a closer look at all the new parts, the face does look pretty good. It does look kind of like a lion to me. You have tiny teeth over there and you can see a mouth, basic yellow eyes. You have this front piece that Optimus Primal has, and then you have some like gator parts on there. Further down to the chest piece in this area, and it's nothing special really. I also don't know how I can expand on this, so I'm just gonna move on. And with these pieces on, the articulation for the arms has become super limited, and just by moving it back there, it's starting to undo itself. This piece can move, like I said, and I guess it is supposed to be some kind of blaster weapon, but other than that, like, there's not a whole lot to say about this figure. Like I said, I know it's not aimed for collectors, and you are getting 2 figures for the price of 1. I'd rather get 1 decent figure like this Megatron was, rather than 2 half-ass figures with a gimmick. The base Optimus Primal figure feels kind of like an oversized core class figure, or kind of like a bootleg. But if you guys want to see more from this Beast Alliance line, let me know in the comments below. And let me know if you want to see a review of this guy. Thank you to my Patreons, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my other videos as well.